Hello, welcome to the Sound of Science, the place where we deconstruct unscientific bogus and silly scams. Let's go get them. Hello, my fellow critical thinkers. Welcome back to another video in which we critically assess the claims of the deluded. Today we're going to debunk a silly claim that is often used by Christian apologists. They will tell you that without their God, there is no objective morality. I say that's nonsense. And I've got 5 reasons why this objective morality claim is meaningless. I want to help you to refute this nonsensical claim whenever you're confronted with it during discussions with Christians. So let's dive into this. Without a God, there is no objective morality. Really? Well, that claim itself introduces our first problem, because this might look like just one claim, but in order to prove that this claim is true, you would have to prove a whole set of subclaims. A God exists. Objective morality exists. God can produce objective morality. No one else can produce objective morality. And only if all of these subclaims are proven to be true, only then the main claim, without a God there is no objective morality, would have any meaning. If only one of these subclaims is not true or cannot proven to be true, then the main claim is meaningless. So anyone who says without a God there is no objective morality should first prove that a God exists in the first place. And if they can't do that, then the objective morality claim is meaningless. Of course, we could stop here and dismiss the objective morality claim due to the lack of evidence for the existence of a God. But even if a God were to exist, we then would be confronted with the second problem, and that is that objective morality, of course, does not exist. Because what is morality? Morality is our understanding of what is good and bad, and right and wrong. Most cultures have different ideas about what is good and what is bad, and even within the same cultural background, most individuals have moral values that are different from the moral values of their neighbors. Morality, by definition, is subjective. It very much depends on our personal opinions, and that brings us to the third problem of the objective morality claim. Even if it existed, we don't need it, because there are large parts of the moral domain that find common ground all over the world, regardless of religion, age, gender, culture, etc. Most people think that if you lead your life trying to contribute to less suffering, less pain, less abuse, less grief, less violence, that would be an example of good morality. And if you lead your life attempting to do the opposite of all of that, so if you try to cause more suffering, pain, abuse, grief and violence, that would be an example of bad morality. The overwhelming majority of people from all over the world, no matter how old they are, no matter if they are religious or atheist, no matter where they were born, they mostly agree with the idea of morality that I just described. So, trying to contribute to less suffering in the world. And that is as close as we can get to objective morality as is possible and as is needed. It is the greatest common denominator in morality that is available on a global scale. By accepting this concept of morality, we reduced the subjectivity of morality to a worldwide recognized set of ethical values. We are no longer dependent on one or just a few personal opinions. We're now backed by billions of people who all feel the same thing about right and wrong, regardless of their walk of life. So, subjectivity is now transformed into a large-scale intersubjectivity, which makes it very usable, reliable and predictable as a standard for morality. So, objective morality is non-existent and non-important. It is much more important that we choose the right source to base our morality on, being the overall feelings, ideas and opinions of our fellow human beings, since they are the ones who will be confronted with the moral choices we make as a society. That is not the case for gods. They are all-powerful and can ignore our moral codes, which they often do. according to their own holy books, and they can escape the consequences like war and famine that could be the result of unfavorable moral choices. So there is no good reason to let a God decide about our morality. They can ignore our moral code as much as they please, so we better make our moral decisions ourselves. And that brings us to the fourth problem of a God providing us with objective morality. As soon as a God provides us with morality, it is no longer objective. Accepting the morality of just one God would be a huge step backwards, because then we're back at square one, faced with the morality of one single individual. We would be dependent on the personal opinions, the whims, the temper, and the mood of one single entity. That would be the opposite of objective morality. And even if you think that this God exists, even then you should recognize that his opinion about morality is just that, his personal idea of morality. So accepting the moral code of a God is a very subjective concept of morality. And that brings us to the fifth and final problem with the objective morality claim. Many gods, and especially the Christian God, they have proven themselves to be absolute brutal and immoral thugs. In the first chapter of the Bible, the Christian God murders everyone by deliberately drowning them in a planned and systematic manner. What an atrocious monster he is. In that same Bible, beating up your slaves is promoted. Killing gay people and non-believers is promoted. If that is the word of the Christian God, then he should be the last one to decide about our moral values. On top of that, the Christian God doesn't seem to be interested at all in correcting the moral mistakes of humanity. The Christian God allows for murder, rape, war, and torture to continue for thousands of years now. He just sits back and watches the world burn. He is totally unfit for deciding about our morality. So, don't be fooled by Christians who say that only their God can provide us with objective morality. First, there's no good reason to believe that their God exists. Second, morality is subjective by nature. It's dependent on the opinions of individuals, so objective morality doesn't exist. Third, we don't need objective morality. A worldwide accepted concept of morality will do just fine. Fourth, if we accept the morality of a God, then that moral code is just based upon the personal opinion of this one God, which would make that morality highly subjective. And this God wouldn't be confronted with the consequences of this moral concept. He's all-powerful and can easily escape war and conflict that could be the result of unfavorable moral choices. So why should he make decisions about it? And last but not least, I don't take any lectures about morality from a God who commits genocide in the first chapter of his holy book, who promotes the killing of gay people and non-believers, and who tells you how to beat up your slaves. That God is a moral thug. I think humans are far more qualified to conceive a moral code that will be reasonable and just than this God has done so far. So no, let God stay out of our moral values. So far he made a mess of it. The only viable solution is humanity doing a better job. But what you also can do is subscribe to my channel, because then you will help me to make more videos in which I debunk silly Christian claims and spread critical thinking and the sound of science. Thanks.